Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the ICT Educator webinar series. I'm Steve Wright. I'm the statewide director for the ICT sector team, which is part of the Workforce and Economic Development Department of the California Community College System. And try saying that at a party. These webinars are brought to you by our entire sector team. And the Workforce Economic Development Department has issued grants. We have regional directors, and you're seeing them here. And included there is also Nicole Sherman, who's the producer of this series. Our ICT sector webinar library now has 56 webinars. We've been doing this a while, and each one of these is recorded, transcripted. There's slides and links, and from prior surveys, you have told us that you use these in classrooms, and this is great. And I always tell our speakers too, these people want to know how to do something. So whatever it is you're sharing, make it relevant, because they're busy educators. And that's what today is really all about. Well, actually, but first of all, let me say what's coming up, though. Coming up in the next few weeks, we're going to be having the NetLab user group with appearances by VMware and Palo Alto Networks. And then after that, we're going to get the scoop on credit for prior learning and how you can be a champion on your campus for that. Today, however, our relationship is with Microsoft. And, I'm so happy that Charlotte Augustine came to join us as regional director because of her links to Microsoft. She's been able to bring in people from Microsoft to talk to us, where as before it was kind of silent. Microsoft's always been a helpful partner, but they've been somewhat distant compared to certain other vendors. So Charlotte's been able to really crack the wall. And today we're going to be hearing about recently launched customized learning paths that students and faculty can access for free. And this spans both digital media office products and IT type products and everything else. And first, we're going to hear from Lisa Speltz, a Microsoft expert consultant that works with Microsoft to assist educators and students in developing future-ready skills. And she's going to take us into a journey with Microsoft Imagine Academy. And joining us later on the call will be Dolly Bali, who's with the Microsoft US Education team, and she'll show us about MS Learn, the educational portal. So between those two and connecting the dots, Charlotte will help out with that. We're going to have a wonderful presentation. Right now, I'm going to turn it over to Lisa.
Great. Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here today. So I just started on Dolly's team last week, but my background has been, I've worked with Future Ready Skills for quite a while, and specifically really closely with the Microsoft Imagine Academy program. So I'm going to start by talking to you about the Microsoft Imagine Academy program, a little bit about Microsoft Learn, and also Microsoft Learn for Educators. So I'll drill down into those three for now. And then if you have any questions throughout, I guess you could use the chat, and maybe Steve, Nicole, and Charlotte can help me manage the chat window. And I'll also, I'll take brief pauses, but at the end, we'll just talk about the programs for a little bit, and then I'll have plenty of time for question and answers, and how do you get started right away? How do you activate your free subscriptions? So again, I'm going to talk about the Microsoft Imagine Academy skills benefit, along with the value of Microsoft Learn and Microsoft Learn for Educators. So the Microsoft Imagine Academy is a skills benefit offer for Microsoft education customers that provides technology courses, teaching and professional development resources, and related benefits that are aligned to in-demand workforce and career skills. Comprehensive learning paths and curricula will prepare students to successfully achieve industry-recognized certification and employment. And the Imagine Academy used to be a for-cost solution. So you would buy through your volume license agreement at a cost of, I think it was about $1,600 a year. Well, just last October, they made Imagine Academy free for all volume license customers. So once you, upon renewal or signing a new agreement with the Microsoft Volume License Agreement, Microsoft Imagine Academy comes to you for free. There are lots of different resources that are available, and it is, I'm going to talk about each of these benefits just briefly, but to give you an idea of what you have. For professional development, customers get 30 free certification exam vouchers that can be shared among educators covered under that volume license agreement. So the vouchers can be used for Microsoft Office Specialist, MTA, Microsoft Certified Educator, and the new Microsoft MTC Fundamentals exams. They also available to educators. We have professional development guides and online learning directory to help prepare for these certifications. And then another benefit would be a 50% discount on Microsoft Certified Trainer Program for all qualified educators. The Imagine Academy also includes comprehensive curriculum resources that prepare students for productivity and entry-level IT skills and certifications along Imagine Academy's 4 learning paths. Course content packages, they come with complete educator and student materials. These are full comprehensive resources that have instructor guides, presentations, assessments, lesson plans, modules, hands-on projects that are based in real world context. And so basically they have everything an instructor would need to go teach the course with daily instruction. And there are study guides that help prepare for the exams for Office 2016 and 2019. And the difference between the study guides and the full curriculum packages are that the study guides do not include instructor resources. So they're meant to kind of simulate that exam experience and give students hands-on learning for each of the exam objectives. The other thing, we have an online learning directory that provides links to videos and tutorials for self-guided instruction. And then we also have marketing things, marketing resources such as customizable course completion certificates, the logo for Imagine Academy, you can use that. There are posters, flyers. There's a member site where you get access to all of the benefits. We have developed a quick start site that helps navigate through how to activate your license and how to get started, how to sign into the member site. And we also have training available through that MSI quick start site. So we also have a digital newsletter and a support forum to help everybody get started. So content within the Imagine Academy, I mentioned 4 learning paths. Those include productivity, computer science, IT infrastructure and cloud, and data science. The productivity path covers all of your Office skills used in everyday applications. Computer science content exposes students to introductory coding, game building, programming skills. And then IT infrastructure, cloud, and data science equips students with entry-level IT skills that will build a great foundation for those that wish to pursue a more advanced level of study and professional certifications. And then we have a couple that are listed here in purple. So you have the fundamentals courses. Those are in purple because those are available on Microsoft Learn and Microsoft Learn for Educators. So we list them here because the professional development vouchers that you get for free, the 30 professional development vouchers, will cover those exams, but the learning materials are in Microsoft Learn. So now let's talk a little bit about Microsoft Learn. Well, should I stop there and see, does anyone have questions so far? Is there anything in the chat on around the Imagine Academy program yet?
Nothing yet. I guess everybody's just taking it all in.
It's a lot of information.
Very nice, very generous.
Okay, great. So, so Microsoft Learn, which was launched more recently, it's a free online training platform that provides interactive role-based training and learning paths focusing on beginner fundamental skills, as well as intermediate and advanced Microsoft technologies and skills. They have over 1,000 courses in multiple languages on a wide variety of topics that include Azure AI, business applications, modern workplace, and Windows development. And the goal with Learn is to help learners become proficient on Microsoft technologies and learn skills with hands-on interactive content that's specific to their goals. It's part of it with Microsoft Learn. It's meant for anyone. It's like I said, free online training platform, and anyone can use this. So it's great for students. It's great for people in the workforce already who want to reskill, but it's out there and people can design their own learning paths, pick what they want to take, and it's just a really great, fun resource. Now, Learn for Educators is it basically takes some of the content on Microsoft Learn and adds instructor resources. So Learn has all these self-led online learning modules, and then Learn for Educators builds that out for instructors for classroom-led instruction so that they can actually teach the course. So Microsoft Learn for Educators, it provides instructor-led training materials for the classroom, supporting Azure, Azure Data, Azure AI, and Power Platform. Those are the 4 pathways that it supports now, and there will be more in the future. The curriculum covers exam objectives through lessons that are based on real-world scenarios and practice exercises. Microsoft Learn for Educators also has, those instructor resources include the online training that's through the MS Learn portal, self-paced online learning paths and modules, then full course module content, including lab components, if applicable, and trainer guides. There's a course data sheet that has an overview, course outline, and learning objectives. And then educator teaching guide, general course information to prepare for the teaching delivery, as well as assessment guides. So guidance on how to develop formative and summative assessments for students. So Microsoft Learn for Educators is available for any educator. Anyone can sign in they can sign in, complete a submission form, which grants access to the download center to get the curriculum. But they also have an institution program that offers additional benefits, such as a practice exam and free exam for educators that are teaching the curriculum, onboarding and curriculum integration support, training on course delivery, office hours, and team community, which are coming soon. Those are in development now. So to become part of the institution program, there are a few qualifications. We ask that you appoint a single point of contact for Microsoft. We ask that at least 3 educators teach the materials, that you would need to have a test center set up for Certiport Test Center so that certifications are readily and easily accessible by students. And then we also will request feedback on the program and your experience from every once in a while so that we can help improve the program. But this is a great program with the institution because you get training. They have a webinar series. You have an appointed IT program manager who will work with your school to onboard and to deliver the training to your students. The languages available for the Microsoft Learn for Educators curriculum include these: English, Spanish, French, German, Japanese, Chinese, and Korean. There are a couple asterisks in here, and that's just kind of telling you that once we produce the English content, usually we have a delay of about 8 to 10 weeks before the localized content will be available. And then once that's available, it will be posted. So just kind of just summarize, these are 3 different programs that are available. Microsoft Learn for Educators is actually part of Microsoft Learn, but Imagine Academy is on its own. But they all work really well together to just give educators everything they need and to cover a really wide span of technologies at no cost to the institution. So they work really well together. Microsoft Imagine Academy, I'll flip here to the certification outlook. And one of the things, and so the certification, here's just kind of a preview of what our certification paths look like. And the Microsoft Imagine Academy covers your productivity, and MTA is actually part of that right now. You've probably heard MTA certifications will expire in June 2022, but those certifications now are still valid in market, and they will be for quite a long time. And Microsoft Imagine Academy will cover those introductory business application skills and your computer science skills, data science, that type of thing. And then along that path, you move into Microsoft Learn for your fundamentals, your associate certifications, and Microsoft expert certifications. And these are the role-based certifications that are fairly new in market. And that is all I have. As you can see, Microsoft has lots and lots of programs available for educators. But we focus in on just a few for now, but we will be providing you with this presentation so that you can have links to all of the different things that are available. But at this point, I'd like to open it up for questions.
Yeah, let me read a few from the chat. Could you talk about the differences between Imagine Academy and the Azure subscription?
I can try. So the Azure subscription is, I am actually not as familiar. So when Dolly gets on, I think she'll be able to talk to you. They are not related at this point. So Imagine Academy is basically full classroom ready curriculum available for educators. And primarily, we see a lot more customers in the K-12 space, but it's actually, we also have quite a few higher ed customers, because as we know, those business skills and those office skills are really relative to almost any employer out there. So those are great foundational skills. They're really the Imagine Academy, which we call MSIA because we love our acronyms. We call the MSIA is great for workforce development centers. So people can get those, get Excel certified, help them in the workforce and with their employability skills. And so Microsoft is, and Azure is a subscription that offers, with labs and cloud services. So two totally different programs. And I will be honest, I am not completely ramped up on Azure yet.
Okay. Well, here's a great question. How do we know if our college is a participant already?
For that, I can get a list of all of the memberships that
Okay.
we have. And so I would say reach out to me directly and I will look you up to find out. That would be the easiest thing, obviously, if you're already signed up. It's pretty easy to activate. But with the volume license agreement, what's happening is they're sending a notification to the purchasing person, the purchasing contact on file for Microsoft. And so what they'll do is that person will then need to share the program ID and the member ID and program key to sign into the member site to get access.
Yeah, and that kind of communication doesn't always work.
I agree.
So
that was one of our, it's been tough, but I think
well, that's okay. You come to the right place. If you could help us with that,
yes,
we can share that.
We can if you come to us, then we can help re-trigger that information and get it to the right people.
Yeah, I mean, part of this program here is realizing what resources are already available to the faculty who attend these calls, so they can go back to their office or whatever, say, "Hey, how come you guys didn't tell me?"
Exactly.
Because that's the part of it. Let me see. Yeah, there's some discussion here about the difference of Imagine being more for K-12 and maybe not so much for community college educators. Can you tell us a little bit about the different offerings for the different levels of education?
Okay, so what I would say is that here I can start my video again. It really actually works for all. It just depends on what programs you're running. So Imagine Academy, it's pretty straightforward. We have all of the Office curriculum, MTA curriculum, computer science, new data science curriculum, and then some of the IT infrastructure and cloud. So basically Microsoft Imagine Academy has covered Office and MTA certifications. And so if you're running any of those programs, whether you're K-12 or higher ed, it's relevant. And then, so it's really, it's really more about there aren't different offerings for one or the other. It's just, this is the curriculum that we have, and it's fully vetted with everything a teacher would need to start with day one. They have a presentation for each lesson already built out for you. So you have all the projects already built, activities. There are Everything's meant to prepare students for certification. So all of the
But
content.
as you know, in community college, we have everything from high school dropouts to postgraduate students
Yeah.
sitting in the same classroom sometimes.
Yes.
Now, one acronym you've got on the slide right here, HIED, does that stand for higher ed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That was a question.
So I had a question. So regarding so I'm a high school teacher. I run an engineering computer science academy. Regarding the Imagine Academy, so is that something that I would set up as a teacher for students to access sort of through me, or is this something that students can access directly on their own? And do high school students not have access? What's the difference between the Imagine Academy and Microsoft Learn?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Microsoft Imagine Academy, you basically, there is no portal for students. So what you would do is you would download the curriculum from the member site, and then you share it out with students however you usually share content with them. So most of the content is available in OneNote packages. So if you use OneNote class notebook, that's a great way to share. Lots of schools are, in fact, my district here in Washington is all on Teams, and they're using OneNote and Teams to share all of their content. So, but yes, there is no portal for students, where Microsoft Learn is, you have the online learning piece of it, as well as Learn for Educators that includes the supporting instructor materials for those 4 pathways that we mentioned.
Okay, so Microsoft Learn is an online self-paced portal.
Yes.
Correct. So are high school students able to access that, or are they not
Yes.
able to? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And there's no sign-in required for Microsoft Learn, but the experience is always better if you sign in, because it can track your progress. You earn badges as you finish courses and pathways. So, so it's a better experience, and they would just need a Microsoft account to sign in.
Do they pay anything for that account?
No.
Okay, that's one of the questions.
Okay.
Evidently, through the California Community College office, we have a LinkedIn Learning available. So does that give us access to some of this training through LinkedIn Learning?
The LinkedIn Learning would be its own program. So Microsoft Learn is already open platform. Imagine Academy, I don't know that it would sync you directly, with your account with Learn. Maybe I'm not sure about that. There are a lot of new tools in LinkedIn Learning as well. A lot of new programs that I'm not up to speed yet on, but I will be, I'm sure, soon.
And the cavalry has arrived. Dolly Bali has arrived.
Oh, yay. Perfect timing.
Hi, Lisa, you're doing great. Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Yes, LinkedIn Learning is not connected, Steve. Lisa's right. They're completely separate. It's a separate account, and we realize that's confusing. But even though we acquired LinkedIn a while back, they're still 2 separate companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been getting a great introduction to Imagine, a little bit about the various learning platforms. Dolly, if you had a separate set of slides you were going to share with the team?
No, I think, Lisa, did you cover the stats?
No, I did not. I did
Okay.
not cover the stats. I did not cover stats or anything after the Imagine Academy and Learn. I just covered Learn for Educators, and Imagine Academy.
Great.
So if there were some questions on how Azure was different, the Azure subscription, and I couldn't really answer that. I couldn't articulate on that. So
Sure.
maybe you can cover some of the Azure benefits.
Absolutely. What about Azure benefits?
It was kind of like, what's the difference between Imagine Academy and the Azure subscription? And I know they're 2 completely, one is, cloud services, and Azure is a lot of different things, I believe.
Yeah, so Imagine Academy and Azure are not even related. Imagine
Right.
Academy is you getting the code, the program to actually teach Excel and MTA in your environments, right, in your schools. Azure is our cloud service, so it's one of the Microsoft products. It's kind of like Office 365 is a product, right? So Azure is a product. It's doing work in the cloud, moving things away from being on-prem. So Imagine Academy is a program that's Microsoft's bundle of some of our learning for educators. Similarly, we now have Microsoft Learn for Educator, where you can teach Azure inside of Classroom. And I see Charlotte. Hi. Now that you all are back. But Microsoft Learn for Educators gives you an opportunity to teach Azure inside of classrooms.
Well, Lisa started off skipping a number of slides that perhaps you wanted to present.
Absolutely. I would love to do that. So while I bring that up, were there any other questions? Because I'll definitely bring up some slides here. I just have to move all my duplicate screens down.
Steve, did we cover most of the Imagine Academy questions?
Well, there's a question, any ability to sync any of these programs with our LMS?
Yes.
Go ahead, Lisa. You know that one?
Yeah. Yes. So Imagine Academy, again, the curriculum is downloadable, so you can load that into your LMS. And then the Learn content also has capabilities to load into your own LMS. And Dolly, you can probably speak to that a little bit better than I can. But I know that it is all meant to be integrated into your own LMS.
That's right. The way it works is there's an LTI integration that gets you to what you need with any of these. What I wanted to talk about for a couple of minutes, and thank you, Lisa, for getting started with the details of the programs, is give you a view of where Microsoft is seeing the fourth industrial revolution and how it's affecting education, right? You all live this on a daily basis, but what we're noticing is that the skills that are being required of our students are changing. And when I say students in air quotes, because it could be adult learners, it could be any number of people, but the digital transformation of the fourth industrial revolution is definitely changing a lot of things. There's many stats on here, and we'll share the deck so you don't have to worry about it. But the one that always gets me is that only 3% of all undergraduate degrees in the US are computer science. I think that's fascinatingly a low stat. I hope that we, as a collective education system, do focus on that, and especially only 18% of those graduating are women. So technical skills are important. You all know that. We know that. And the part I want to stress is it's not technical skills in IT. It's technical skills in any job, any kind of industry, right? If you think about food service, there's so much new technology that is going to get introduced there and may already have. If you look at agriculture, there's definitely new advancements with AI that are affecting it. So it's all industries, right? And COVID has really accelerated it. So some of the other slides I'm going to bring up here as they build are, since we were talking about LinkedIn, if LinkedIn did this analysis of the top 10 skills that are required, and what we found out was that the soft skills, of course, I think as educators, you would all agree are still valid, but the ones that were surprising are the hard skills, right? Artificial intelligence, cloud computing. So Azure is Microsoft's version of cloud, AWS is Amazon's version of cloud. So cloud computing, what does that mean? How do you explain that to students? That's definitely going up. So I think this report came out last year, and I say this every time I give this slide. I think all of these numbers will be in triple digits by the time we get the stats for this year, because COVID did accelerate a lot of this. So when we look at the stats, these were all double digits for AI and data scientist and cloud and cybersecurity, right? I think you all would agree that those jobs are not going away. And if anything, there are more jobs plus more need for these. So I call this my money slide. And as it builds out, what I want to highlight here is that when we take a stab at this is from November 2020. We looked at the jobs that were open on Indeed.com, and the jobs that require any kind of Microsoft skills, they far outnumber the other competitors. And the reason for that is 90% of Fortune 500 companies do use at least one cloud enterprise service from Microsoft. So if you think about it, Outlook, Word, Excel, those are still pretty much standard in majority of the majority of the world with work right now. So that means that the jobs here, the 400,000 plus jobs, aren't jobs at Microsoft, but they're jobs with our customers. And then when we start looking at the jobs that require cloud skills, so our Azure, our cloud, Microsoft's cloud, they're really high-paced paying jobs. So they're in the six figures, right? And again, no surprise because of the fact that Azure is the fastest growing cloud, and because enterprises are already on Microsoft products, it's easier for them to just transition over to our cloud. And then if you look at the number of job openings, this was done at that day when we built it, the job openings are pretty phenomenal as well. So LinkedIn Learning, that was a little bit about the landscape. But if you think about LinkedIn Learning, it's a great place to kind of get some of those skills, those basic skills, the professional skills that you would need in any kind of learning environment, right? Where you would end up. And it's available in many languages. I believe some of you have access to LinkedIn Learning, but I don't know if it's at the state level, but definitely something to explore. So when we look at Microsoft's programs to prepare what we call our kind of scaffolding our programs. I know Lisa went through a couple of these, but the ones that we always highlight are Imagine Academy, the Learn for Educators, LinkedIn Learning, and then certifications. So if you think about this, we really try to focus on the primary education, getting students some of the basic knowledge. So Imagine Academy, what Lisa covered, was really highly valued in the K through 12 market because it allowed students to get a basic knowledge of computer science and Word and Excel, right? Now, fast forward, we are getting our students ready for cloud. So I know you all, Charlotte, has been working really hard to teach Azure inside of classrooms. So that's where the world of Microsoft lives as far as programs go. So I'm going to skip through. I'm assuming you all covered Imagine Academy, you covered Learn. Did you talk about certifications? Should I cover some of that?
I did, unless one question in the chat while we're here. Somebody asked, Marcus asked, does your computer science degree statistic that you mentioned include degrees in IT, IS, MIS, cybersecurity, etc.?
Does it? You know what? I'm not sure. I would have to go back and double check some of those stats, but I would venture to think that they looked at computer science and not holistically all the other disciplines because it specifically calls out computer science. So great point there, Marcus. Now I have other slides, but I'm not sure, given the time, if there are specific points you want me to talk about, or if we should open it up for a discussion. I'll take your lead.
You know, that one slide you showed that would show the stratification of the different programs from primary all the way through, and then the LinkedIn Learning on the right. I mean, kudos to whoever put that slide together, because as I was experiencing what Lisa was going through at the beginning and seeing the different questions, I realized there's a heck of a lot of confusion about all the programs that you have.
Yeah.
And so that slide in particular was very good. I don't know if you can put that back up again.
Absolutely. And you know what I will do, Steve, is I'll send you that slide. In addition, I'll send you some data sheets we recently pulled together for the US market, because we know it is so confusing. There's lots of programs. Like when you start looking at K through 12, there's Make Code, there's hackathons, there's a lot of programs that we always thought Imagine Cup Junior. It's very K through 12 focused programs. So it can get kind of difficult for.
Well, and one of the things we discussed earlier is that a lot of the people on this call, faculty, don't always know what their purchasing department knows about whether they have the Microsoft relationship or not. And you know, they're busy. Students are calling them all the time. So the question is, what do you have for me and how do I get it? And so I think that particular slide is good. And then for each one of those, understanding more about how to, you know, if we think one might be relevant to a classroom, how do we get access or whatever? Is there a common website where you can kind of go to and begin to dissect your path, which program you want to choose?
Yeah, there isn't, not yet. We are building something which would be almost like a landing page for a lot of the learning programs. As you can imagine, things have changed over the years. So Microsoft Learn should be your main point of Microsoft Learn is the main place where we have all our learnings, all our content. But as far as the programs that we have available for educators, there's not one place. However, I will offer my email here, so you're welcome to email me if I can get you answers, and of course, Lisa. So we'll put our emails here. Feel free to reach out and we'll get you for FCCC. So for the California Community Colleges, we have one account team and we know the programs that are available across the board for the Federation, but individual colleges might have different programs. Yeah.
Well, at this point, if your introductory or formal remarks are over, I'd like to just open it up for people to go ahead and unmute and ask questions. I see a bunch of stuff in the chat thing, and sometimes I'm not as good at restating it.
I can tell you, Charlotte, yes, we do have integration with Canvas and we have a very strong integration with Canvas. There's some new things that are going to be announced pretty soon here. Canvas does integrate with Microsoft Learn as well, plus Teams. So Teams and Canvas is going to be a very strong connection. So you could run, there's so much I am not allowed to share, right? But there's some new things coming with Canvas, with Teams, with a concept of career coach inside of Teams that we are going to announce here shortly. And I can make sure, at least I can get that information over to Charlotte for disbursement to the rest of the team.
Yeah, and that may warrant another webinar where we can go over how to implement and utilize to the fullest advantage. One thing I want to mention is that when you're talking about Teams and the Microsoft platform, your IT groups limit you to what they feel you're either ready to use or what they want you to have as far as abilities within the platform. So if you come across something that maybe isn't working for you, you may have to ask for privileges so they release those options to you, and or have them attend one of the many workshops that we put together, and or visit some of the tools that Dolly and Lisa have mentioned so they actually learn as well.
Definitely, for sure. Thank you for that, Charlotte. There's a question from Richard around to teach Azure in classroom, which program can provide sufficient credit? Okay, so student lab time comes up all the time. We have something called Azure for Students that gives each student $100 Azure credit, but they can run through that pretty fast, right? And it's $100 for the entire year. And really, that was not intended to be used for teaching. It was intended to be used for kind of student exploration on their own. So there are some new programs coming out later this year around colleges being able to buy an Azure subscription at pretty low cost. In the meantime, again, this goes back to knowing your IT person. Because the FCCC umbrella has a strong Azure subscription, we can add what we call Azure Lab Services. And it's a really low cost lab environment where you can run the coursework and you can run the labs. We also have partners who have developed some really good labs. So one of those is Spectra System. They have something called Cloud Labs, which I personally think is fabulous. It's a product outside of Microsoft. And what they do is they've already built out the labs and they allow you to purchase it at a per student subscription. So you could pass the cost on to the student in some kind of a lab fee. And it's pretty low cost. And they also provide each of the labs. So if you're doing Azure Fundamentals, they've already built that in and students are in a real Azure environment, right? So they've kind of simulated that for you. And then the best part is they provide practice exams so that, I'm sure Lisa covers certifications. That's a huge component of this this double-edged sword, one being the learning, the other one being the certification for your students. So if that's of interest, when I send back the slides, I will add a couple of slides on Cloud Labs.
Okay.
Did that answer your question, Richard? Okay, thank you. You're welcome. Any other questions? I know this is a lot. We realize it's a lot. So we'll send over some of those data sheets, like I mentioned. See, we are building some kind of portal. It's coming. I just don't know when. And our programs are really the ones that you all need to know about are Imagine Academy, and then the Microsoft Learn for Educator, where you can teach. Both of those programs allow you to teach in classroom. Now we do have something called Azure DevTools for Teaching. Again, it's bought at the what's the word I'm looking for, institution level. And what that gives you is Visio and some of the tools around Visio. So there'll be slides in there and how to sign up.
Let me ask a question to the attendees on the call here. Do you have challenges or difficulties subscribing to these services that are being discussed today? I mean, is this an administrative problem that you have to face? Is it simply about how much it costs, or is it because it's just unwieldy to bureaucratically get it done? Anyone want to comment, Steve?
Cost. Well, cost free. There is no cost for any of the programs we talked about.
Exactly.
Yeah, except that the students spend a week trying to figure out what their Microsoft account is or what credentials they need to use to get. I mean, we have Azure for Education is all the farther we've gone so far, but I spend the first week of every class trying to get students into Azure so they can download Visio so I can teach Visio. And it's harder than it should be, especially because, you know, Azure tries to be everything to everyone, and it's hard for me to even follow. Now, which Azure are we talking about right now during this discussion? You know, are we talking about Azure for Education? Are we talking about some, you know, learning? You know, it's tough, and it's tougher yet to convey it to the students.
Oh, sorry. I also echo what Steve just said. It's just not so friendly with the Azure for development tools at our college, just because I teach Microsoft Project and that's available. And it took over a week for us to get it kind of working well so that they could get the product key and activate it. So.
Now, Pat, was that because it was the first time you did it, or is that, I mean, would you anticipate the same problems next semester?
Yeah, we used to have a subscription to Spark, which was replaced by and as Steve said, Azure. Which version of Azure are you talking about? So, then it was replaced with Azure for development tools, or was it Azure for Education? I'm not sure, but it allows us to get these specific products. And this is how our IT staff also gets the different licenses for the labs as well. But this is the first time I ever used it in this new environment, since we couldn't get it through MSDN or Spark anymore. So,
Thank you, Pat.
Okay, thank you for sharing some of this. I really do think, I hate to say this, I think some of it is due to your own IT groups and the limitations there, right? So if your college hasn't adopted complete Azure and they're using these free subscriptions or these unmanaged subscriptions, then absolutely it is going to be complicated. Now, what I'm going to share with you guys, I'm trying to connect this to OneDrive, is see if I could. It's not going to allow me to do this here, but in the response back to Charlotte, I will share a really easy help tool for Azure DevTools for teaching. I think that will get you Visio, it will get you Project, and you don't need to go to Azure for Education. Now, I think also some of this is because you are educators, you're not IT folks, you're not supposed to know all these different nuances. So part of that is, unfortunately, is we rely on the IT groups within the edu space, right, to get their educators up to speed on which tools to use. But I will take that feedback, and maybe Lisa and I can pull together some easy cheat sheets kind of material on here's how you use it. And maybe even a step further on one of these next calls, I'd be happy to bring a CSA, a technical person, with me on this call, and perhaps they can answer some of your questions. Now, please know you're all in different institutions. So again, it goes back to not just what, like if I was to pick Santa Monica College, it's really about the tools that Santa Monica College has adopted, right? But we hear you. It
Yes.
should not be this complicated. I feel like something's being lost in translation, so I will take that upon us to go back and find out.
And thank you for that, Dolly, because very often what happens is we see packages by different vendors or training companies or whatever that really are wonderful. But the implementation, college by college, is difficult. I mean, just this discussion now makes me think that perhaps we should try to round up our IT managers across all the colleges and have a presentation with them, because usually that's what has to happen is you need to get them up to speed.
So that's actually in the works right now, Steve, within the LA and Orange County area. I have sent out a opportunity for our IT teams to get more in-depth training within Azure and then the Microsoft ecosystem. So once we go through that one pilot, then happy to share it out with my peers across the state to ensure that they too can have their IT teams access this training.
Yeah, most people are more than happy to do things that benefit students. That's one thing I've known, regardless of whether it's administration, faculty, IT staff, or whatever. Most people want to help the students. We just very often don't know how to take the next step. So I'm glad you're going to help us with that, Dolly. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, I'm available here with whatever you need. Now, I'm posting a couple of links just for you all to keep handy. I will include these in the response. But one of the things we did not talk about here is Microsoft launched what we called our Global Skills Initiative back in April. Oh, sorry, back in August. It's not even April yet. And it was our attempt to get displaced workers from COVID to get skilled up, right, in the next round of jobs. So LinkedIn has this learning path. They're all free through the end of June. You're welcome to share this because some of your students are adult learners, right, forever learners. Those pathways are available at no cost, and then the certifications that go with each of those pathways are available at pretty much $15. You don't have to teach anything. They can do this all on their own. The second link that I posted is we work with Microsoft Stores, and they're constantly offering trainings about various products. And I posted that as well in case you want to share that out somewhere or keep it handy if your students are looking for things. And of course, I will find you the link to that Azure Dev Tools for Teaching and send that along as well.
Does that mean we don't need to buy our Azure for Education subscription next year?
Well, again, I need to know what you're using, because Azure for Education is where you run, you would run like your some of the courses potentially, but really it's more of the actual Azure subscription to run inside of Edu. So it's what the IT group might be running. So if you don't mind, Steve, I would love if you could just send me an email and we could connect. I want to bring our Azure specialist for FCCC on the call and make sure I'm not a salesperson, so I don't know which subscription and what aligns to you.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, we had all kinds of issues, like even that I subscribe to Azure for Education with our college domain, but the students all have an additional subdomain on their email addresses, and none of it would work because that's, you know, what they had to use. And so it was just a nightmare. And I've evolved. I've been the campus admin for Elms and for Imagine and for, you know, all of these various ways that Microsoft provided for us to subscribe to software that the students needed for these courses. and it changes every year. And now I got to figure out how I'm going to do this Microsoft Server course that I've been doing for a decade. Now that certification is gone, so it's the constant evolution of this thing that's kind of hard to track.
Yes, well, it will continue to evolve. I won't take that away from you because Azure is evolving. That's why it's the fastest growing cloud. So it will continue to evolve. That will be the case. And unfortunately, education continues to evolve, right? So that's taken. So we will have new programs coming up. There will always be this newness to it. But the part that you're bringing up is the challenges with connecting. And again, I think that has to do with someone in your IT group, somebody locally to you.
It's me. I'm the campus admin for Azure. The IT people don't get involved at all, and there's not a disconnect because it's me, you know. So and I teach IT classes, so I don't need so much to be handheld by the IT people on our campus, although they can be, you know, I mean, because they're the ones that own the volume licenses and stuff.
Right,
so some of this new technology will involve them, but my department on campus purchased an Azure for Education subscription, and I'm the stuckee, and the problems with implementing that have been, you know, great, and the problems have changed every other year. So that's the real issue.
Okay, we'll take that back. And I'm sorry if I'm not missing the point. I hear you, I hear it. I'm just not the right person to address some of these concerns because you all are from different campuses. If there was one campus, I could bring the appropriate person on the phone even right now. But I apologize. It's Microsoft making things more complicated is kind of out of my hand.
Well, Dolly, I mean, you're here, and thank you. This is what it's all about. And that's why we have these webinars, and we have them with Amazon, and we have them with Cisco, and we have them with everybody else. And it's a great opportunity for the faculty to raise their voices and say, hey, you know, this part isn't working too well, or this part could be better. And our vendors enjoy that. And I do believe, Steve, that this change is just normal. As the other day I was saying, when does it all stop? And, you know, it doesn't. It's just going to keep right on, and we either get used to it or we might as well find something else to do.
And Steve, what campus are you with?
It looks like Chaffee to me.
Yeah, I'm at Chaffee College.
So is that Wendy's? The regional director, Wendy, is it in the up north? I'm not
No,
sure.
it's east of LA, about 50 miles.
So Paula.
It's Suzanne, actually.
Oh, Suzanne. Hi, Suzanne. Welcome. Maybe we could have a one-off meeting and see how we could support you and walk through your issues so that they can be heard and hopefully supported.
Yeah, Microsoft is a challenging company in some ways because they've been so dominant for so long, and they just think the way they think, and they do what they do. It's always
absolutely, but then we also want you to know that we listen as well, because education within Microsoft is just a behemoth. There's lots of things, right? We do lots of stuff, but when you think about these tools that we're bringing to you in these programs, it's to make educators have access to the technologies that your students are going to need when they graduate. So our mission, at least inside of the Microsoft education team, is to provide you with programs to make life easier, to teach some of these aspects. Now, what you're bringing up is the actual technology and implementing that inside of your Chaffee environment. And I have taken note, and I will definitely take this back to the account team and ask them if there's something we can do. And Charlotte, if you can have that meeting and kind of compile the questions or the issues that are coming up, you know, I'm more than happy to bring that to the forefront.
I think another opportunity is this weekly webinar we have here is part of a statewide function, so we can share the results or whatever you come up with statewide. very easily. And that's one of the beauties of having a statewide organization. In case anyone is wondering if we should have statewide. It's ongoing debate around here. Well, this is wonderful. We're coming up to the last minute of the presentation. I've seen there's some wonderful questions got answered, and maybe a little venting, and that's good too. It's always good. And we appreciate our relationship with Microsoft. Microsoft is the coin of the realm when it comes to enterprise communications. That's not going to change. You know, it's kind of like Microsoft Teams. Whether you like it or not, you better get used to it, because that's how you're going to be communicating with people in any enterprise environment. And that's the way technology works. The dominant technology is the one that is the most pervasive, not necessarily the one that everybody's all happy about. And so Microsoft has been that and been a good partner for a long time. All right, I'm going to wrap it up right there. Thank you, Dolly. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Charlotte, for bringing this together. And thank you, everybody, for your comments and your observations and your sharing. Everything is good. And we'll have this recorded and up on our website probably in about a week, so you can share it with other folks.
Have a wonderful weekend, everyone. Thank you
Take
again.
care.
Thank you,
Bye.
you too.
Bye-bye.